Okay, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, let us resume our lectures on machine learning for image processing. In this lecture, let us continue the discussion on dimensionality reduction, more specifically on the principal component analysis. So let me share the screen and we will very briefly review what we have discussed, and then subsequently we discuss on the method of principal component analysis for dimensionality reduction. If you have any questions, you are welcome to ask. Hope you are able to see these notes. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So why did we start this discussion? Why the dimensional reduction is important? Quickly answer a few of the basic questions to start with. Why dimensional reduction is important in machine learning or classification?
Feature vector may get very long.
Yeah, usually in most of the cases, the dimensions of feature vectors is very high when we consider images, okay, or the features from images, or from frames of images, several frames of images, that is video. Okay, either for images or for videos, the feature vectors are very large dimensions, okay, and then directly classifying with them, okay, is a very complex or computationally complex task. Further, the number of samples required when the dimensions of features are high for a classification method will be exponentially larger or higher than the number of samples that are required with smaller dimensional feature vectors. Okay, so usually there is a theorem that says that if there are if the features are of 1 dimension, if you need 100 samples, features are of 2 dimensions, you need 100 square samples. If there are 10 dimensions, 100 power 10 samples to ideally to do better classification, good classification. Okay, so that's the reason we started with for understanding some of the dimensionality reduction methods. While doing dimensional reduction, what are the important aspects to look at? What should we consider while designing a dimensional reduction method, developing a dimensional reduction method? Can any of you answer quickly?
Yes. We have to capture the maximum variance.
Okay, you are directly jumping onto the solution. I need some intuition on which the method is developed. What should we retain in the feature vectors?
The intention is to get back the original if you
right. To the extent possible from the reduced dimension, okay, we should have a reconstructed feature vector in the higher dimension that is closely matching to the original feature vector. Okay, the reconstruction error, okay, after projection has to be as less as possible. Okay, that is one guideline. Okay, that means most of the information of the original feature vector has to be preserved. Is this fine or not? The information of the original feature vector has to be preserved even in the reduced dimensions. That is one requirement. Any other things? Any other aspects of importance while developing dimensional reduction method? Okay, so given that we need to preserve most of the information, which direction should we consider for project? What we thought is one of the simple way of reducing the dimensionality is projecting the sample onto the other dimensions. If you have two-dimensional sample, just project onto one dimension, either x-axis or y-axis. This is a simple case. Okay, in whichever dimension the more information are there for the overall samples or for the given sample. Okay, in that direction you project to capture the maximum information even after projecting to a single dimension. That means you are only representing with a projection length. Fine. So if I am projecting 1,100 onto the y-axis, okay. So 1,100 onto the y-axis. Okay. So if I am projecting 1,100 to the y-axis, then I'm capturing, okay, 100 here. Okay, I am leaving this one. But the value of projection length, that is 100, is single dimension. Okay. So whereas if so the discussion here, we started with 1,100. But the thing is, if I project a feature vector x having the information of, okay, 100, 1 or, okay, 150, 1. Okay, then what I do is on the x-axis I will be projecting and I will be capturing the information on the x-axis through a single dimension. Okay, that's what you should note. After projecting, the dimension of the feature vector gets reduced, because even if I take 10-dimensional feature vector, see if I take x belonging to 10 dimensions, so x may be of 5 dimensions, for example. Okay, 100, 2, 3, 0.5, okay, 1, 0.01. Okay, this is a 6-dimensional feature vector. Even if I project this onto the x-axis, what I will be doing, I will only be representing this sample, projected sample, with a single dimension. Okay, so I have reduced from 6-dimensional feature vector to a single dimension projection. Okay, so I will do the same for all the samples K. Fine. So I hope you understood the point here. That's the projection is one of the simpler way of reducing the dimension. Then the question has come, in which dimension should I project? Should I project always onto the x and y directions, or are there better suggestions for projecting the samples? So then what would we discuss during that time? What is the good direction, ideal direction for projecting the samples? Any answer on this?
Our direction is as maximum spread.
Yeah. So because we want to capture the variation of the data, you project onto the direction wherein the variation of the data is there, or the spread of the data is there. The direction which captures the maximum spread of the data. Okay. So that what you can capture is, even through single dimensional projections, you can capture most of the variations, okay, of the higher dimensional samples. That's what we discussed. But how to mathematically arrive at that? Okay, because the data may not be always in 2 dimensions. Even in 2 dimensions, we need a mathematical, okay, the explicit values of E, okay, direction of projection. Okay, and the projection lengths, how do we capture? Should we capture from the origin, or should we say, if I give you a sample, okay, if this is the sample, for example, okay, this sample, if I take, this sample can be projected onto the x-axis, even if we wish to project onto the x-axis perpendicularly. This is one way of projecting the sample. Or I may project like this. Okay, usually we know that projection means project perpendicularly. But why should we consider always perpendicular direction of projection? Okay, is there any benefit in this? Or Okay, should I consider different possibilities for it? Okay, that also we should see. Well, how should I capture the projection length? See, based on the projection, the way I project the sample onto the given axis, the projection length gets defined. Okay, so to define the projection length, I am always using perpendicular projection. Fine, but is there any reason for it? Okay, so that we will see now. And the direction of projection, what we want to capture is, one is direction of projection. Okay, the other thing is the projection, the way of projection. How should I project? Third thing is, based on which do I get the these details? That is the projection error. Okay, so we'll first quantify the projection error, and we will see in the light of projection error, in minimizing the projection error, we find out the directions of projection and the lengths of the projections. Hope this is clear. Any other discussion that has happened in the last class? Okay, one more aspect that we have brought in is, see, this is ideal. This discussion, whatever we have been, is driving to minimize the projection error. But our end role is to do classification. Okay, so if we see with the end role, this always may or may not be an optimal method. Okay, in some cases, even after projecting, they may get separated well, okay, into one dimension. But the samples of class 1 and class 2 may not be separated, in the sense that the overall samples get separated well, but the class 1 samples and the class 2 samples may not be distinguished or demarcated well in the projected direction. Okay, that we will see in the subsequent discussion. So we will first see, given this background, first we will try to come up with the projection error or the objective function to find out the direction of projection and the length of the projections. Okay, so fine. So in the previous discussion, we have seen that if the samples are like this, okay, then what we said is we calculate assume that there is some direction of projection E. Okay, we are just randomly assuming. Okay, I have marked here the maximum spread direction, because I know that that will be the direction, okay, which will have the projected samples also well separated. Okay, so roughly we know we captured it, but we want to mathematically highlight and show this later. Okay, so we want to get a mathematical expression for E. That is one object. For getting that, where we started is we took arbitrarily E. For time being, assume that I have taken arbitrarily some E. Okay, now given this E, I need to calculate the projection length. See, for calculating the projection length, there are two ways. Okay, so if I say that the E is like this, overall E. Okay, so I can calculate, okay, the projection length from here, or projection length from here, or from here. Or this E, I just marked the direction of projection. This E can also be, okay, not necessarily be like this. This E can also be like this. That means I can project all the samples, okay, on the same direction when it crosses through the origin. Then the projections will be like this. For time being, I'm also assuming that the projections are all perpendicular projections. Okay, so and then projection length, what we mark as projection length for a given sample xk. I assume that this is the sample xk we are considering, kth sample. Okay, so this is not into. Please note that this is the xk sample. Okay, this sample, the projection length is like this. So this is AK. Okay, I'm introducing notation now. Please try to understand, ask if you have any questions here. This projection length. This projection length is calculated from where? From the origin. Okay, and then the direction of projection, I have retained it as E, some direction E. Okay, but in the previous discussion, what I said is, see, the samples always may not be concentrated around the origin. So considering the projection lengths from the origin may not be optimal or advantageous in all the cases. So for that reason, what I suggested is the other option to consider the projection lengths is from the mean vector. Yeah. Okay, so mean is a vector now. It's not a scalar. Please note that mean is a vector. Whatever I mark in 2 dimensions is a vector. Okay, except here, this is the projection length is a scalar because this is a length. Okay, calculated from origin. Now, if I consider from mean vector, okay, then the projection length is how much? Where should I mark the projection length? Can one of you quickly tell? Where should be my projection length now? When I calculate with respect to this mean vector to the sample at xk. Can I have a quick answer? Where is AK
So
now?
the projection of M on the e-axis.
On the?
From the projection of M on the e-axis.
No, projection of M on the e-axis is how much? So it's anyway, it's there here. So if I want to calculate from origin, it will be some value I will get. I need the projection of xk only. I don't need the projection of M. M is the mean of all samples.
The projection of xk, if we see from the mean, it will be the distance between M and the projection of M and the projection of xk.
Right. Okay. So this is what you are telling, right? This is AK. Okay. This new AK that we have denoted from M, that we have calculated from M. Is this clear or not? This is AK. Okay. So this AK now, or you can mark here also, this is AK. Okay. So this AK is calculated from me. Then, okay. So now the question is, see, assume that what I initially have are samples xk. Okay. K is equal to 1 to n samples. N samples I have. And each of these samples xk belongs to what dimension? Xk belongs to D dimension. Okay. So the total number of elements, okay, that are required to represent these samples is how much? How many, like the numbers are required, how many values are required to represent this whole samples? K ranging from 1 to n and each of dimension D. How many we need?
N into D.
D into n. Okay. D into n, like values are required to represent samples. All samples. Okay. So now, see, assume that I have changed the representation. How did I change? I have given the projected sample yk as ak into E. First of all, assume that I have not given explicitly here, but I started with ak. So we'll see this coming from the derivation as well, but let me write first. Why I'm writing like this? AK, as we have noted here, xk minus M, okay, projection on E. So hope this is clear. This expression, whatever I am showing here, is showing that the projection of what kind of projection is this? Perpendicular projection of xk minus M on what? On E. Okay, that's what I have written here. That is AK. Once this AK is given, I am representing these xk samples with now only AKs. Please note that. Okay, 1 to n. However, to represent these with AKs, I also need the information of E because I am projecting onto the direction E. Fine. And I am also using M because, okay, I am taking the projection from M to xk. Fine. So this is the initial samples. And these are projected samples. Now, if I want to get back the reconstructed sample xk hat, okay, from the projections, what do? I take this projection yk hat and yk, and then as you can see here, this is the projected, like in the dimension of projection, in the dimension of original sample, okay, from the projection and the direction of projection length and the direction of projection, I can get the sample. Okay. And hence this xk minus M is approximated by yk here, as discussed in the last class. Okay. That implies what? This implies, okay, xk hat, this is only approximation. So I am writing hat is equal to M plus I'm writing yk explicitly, ak into e. Is this fine or not? This is what? This xk hat is what? Reconstructed sample. Okay, xk hat is equal to how much now? M plus ak into e. Okay, so I am able to get the sample, reconstructed sample. Is there some loss in this projection or not? Do you think xk hat will be ideally, will always be equal to xk? Both xk hat and xk, are they exactly same or will there be some difference because of the projection and the reconstruction?
There will be a difference.
Yeah, there will be difference as we have seen in the previous examples. Fine. So now the question here is, see here to represent this information, what you needed is, okay, this information is represented in D into N values. Okay, here how many values are required? Just we are trying to make sure that there is some dimensional reduction also happening. Okay, so here how many values are required to represent the samples now, all the samples. Can I get some answer? In the projected, if we want to represent the samples with the only projections or the projected samples, okay, how many values are required? Okay, assuming counting each real value as single, okay, element in the memory. How many are required?
Sir, AK is of size n, capital N.
AK, yeah, AK is of size how much? Now you tell me. AK is what dimension?
D dimension, so probably 2D.
No, AK is what dimension? AKs are what dimension?
That is one dimension. Then
Very good. AK is one dimension, right? I'm taking a dot product between the direction of projection and the xk minus m. Okay, it is 1 cross 1. Okay, y is how much dimension? Y is d cross 1 because I am representing this with the use of projection length, with the help of projection length. I am imitating the sample xk. Okay, in the direction e, in which I have projected. I made use of. Okay, that's why I'm able to compare here. Okay, this is also d cross 1. Okay, and this is also d cross 1. Fine. So now tell me, how many values are required now for representing the projected samples?
N cross 1.
Okay, n cross 1, fine. Okay, for all the samples, I just need only, okay, n values to represent. Fine. Additional overhead, okay, in representing, it's not into now, is D or 2D. Okay, depending upon if I represent from mean, then it is 2D. Okay, if I represent from origin, it is only D. Okay, as I said, the mean is a better thing because it will reduce the length of AK, and I will also have a better idea on how they are spread around the mean. Okay, so essentially D into N, which is higher. So this is much higher if D is higher. Is it not? The dimensions what we started this discussion, whole discussion started with, okay, D is very high. Implies that, okay, D into N, okay, is much higher than, okay, D plus 2N or N. Sorry, or 2D plus N or N. Yeah, D plus N or 2D plus N. Fine. Is this clear or not? Okay, so there is a dimensionality reduction happening, but we can get the reconstructed samples in the original dimension. However, there is some error in the reconstruction. Fine. So let us now quantify the error in the reconstruction. Okay. See, how should I quantify the error in the reconstruction? I need some idea. XK is original sample. Okay. And it is represented in terms of AKs using the direction E and from the mean vector. Okay. And given this information, how I am representing is, from this I can again, this is reconstruct back XK hat. Okay. from the projected samples. This is what we have discussed before. Okay, this is projection. Okay, and reconstruction. Fine. What is xk hat is equal to? Quickly tell if you know the answer. M plus ak into E. Okay, all are vectors. Please note that E is a vector. Okay. This is anyway vector. Okay. So now, fine. Now tell me, how should I quantify the reconstruction error? How should we quantify the reconstruction error?
So we can find the distance between the reconstructed and the original.
Right. Okay. Xk and xk hat norm square. Okay. So usually norm or norm square. Okay. Either is fine. So let us put norm square. Okay. So now see this I want to expand. Minus M plus ak into E. Okay. So fine. Okay. So now the question is, what do I do with this? I have got this fine. What do I do with this? Why did I write the reconstruction error?
We want
Quick
to find
answers.
that E which minimizes the error.
Very good. So this J is function of E. Please note that. Okay. The direction of projection. Okay. And then this is also a function of what? AK is the projection length. Okay. This J is the function of direction of projection. And projection length. So I want to find out the best direction. Also, how should be the projection length? That means, how should I do projection? Okay. What are ideal projection lengths for optimal projection lengths? Okay, that will minimize the reconstruction error. Because I started with the capturing the maximum information between xk and xk hat. Okay, is my objective. Fine.
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir.
Yeah, please
I think I
ask.
have missed something.
Yeah.
So AK is a dot product of XK along E, no, sir?
Right. So AK, we are assuming it to be dot product of, okay, xk minus M with E. We are assuming it to be like this. This is when this will be, if I do perpendicular projection, okay, then this is the correct. Whatever we discussed is correct. Okay. But if I don't do perpendicular projection, as I said, okay, there are different possibilities for a sample. Say if this is the sample, okay, and the sample can be projected in different ways. Not necessarily, anyway, intuitively we know and we have been using that projection means only perpendicular. Okay, but it not, we also want to mathematically show this, that perpendicular projection is the ideal projection. Okay, and then we can confine to this. Is your, yeah. So that too, mathematical people have a good interest in that, showing that because we assume anyway intuitively that the projection means horizontal projection. Okay, because we were taught probably from the beginning like that. We are thinking beginning from the beginning like that. But projection means what? Dropping the two-dimensional sample onto the one dimension. Okay, so you're just dropping like this, or should I throw like this? So incline in a like with some angle. So which is best way of doing? Okay, so like that. Yeah. So and this, why I have considered this also to be find out in our discussion is, see, when the way of differentiation, all those things you will be familiar. Okay, while we differentiate with respect to AK, then we will start differentiating with respect to E and then see the subsequent discussion. Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
also to be familiar with the mathematics, I am considering this also to be derived from minimizing the reconstruction error. Yeah. Okay. So now let us see. So now the question is how I want to ideally ensure that. So I just want to ensure this. That means, does this is the expression I get by minimizing the reconstruction error with respect to the AK. Fine. So what should I do now to ensure that or to prove that? What should we do?
You can differentiate the cost.
Yeah, AK and equate it to 0. See, before here, we missed one point here. See, this reconstruction error now, I calculated with how many samples?
Only one, sir.
Only one sample. But how many samples are there overall?
N, sir.
N samples. So what should I do? Because I just don't want to have a minimum error for one sample and have reasonable high errors for other samples. The overall reconstruction error has to be minimum. Okay. So the cost function involves summation here. Is this clear? Okay. So this is what I want to minimize while getting AK. So now the first question is, see, I will anyway do all this. So when I differentiate with respect to AK, okay, dose A by dou AK I want to find. So tell me, how should I proceed? Can one of you tell how should I proceed? Any ideas? Please note that these are vectors. Okay, this is a vector. Okay, this is a vector and this is a vector. Yeah, what should I do? However, this AK is a scalar. Some idea I need to start with.
So we can expand the square and
very good. Very good. So we will first expand. Okay. So J is equal to, let me write J. J means J, E, comma, AK and so on. Okay. So it's function of E and AK. For time being, I assume that E is given or constant. Okay. So while differentiating with respect to partial differentiation with respect to AK, I assume E is constant. Now I want to expand. Say, how should I expand? This is norm square. How should I expand? Norm of a vector. Okay. So norm of, say, E, assume that square. How should I expand?
You have to square and add all the individual coordinates.
Okay, fine. That's one way. Is there any other way? I don't want to bring in the element wise things.
You can write E transpose.
Okay, how should I do?
E transpose E, sir.
Very good. E transpose. Okay, I want to retain in terms of vectors because I know differentiating with respect to vectors, scalar with respect to vectors, okay, and so on. So I want to use that tricks. Right. Scalar function with respect to vectors and so on. Okay. Yeah. So now I will write this in this way. Xk minus M minus AK into E in transpose into Xk. I will group them. So still let me group. So let me group these two. It is convenient for me. Okay. And then I will just separate this part. Because AK is only here, I'm just doing this grouping. Hope you people understand. Because AK, I want to focus on AK. So remaining things I grouped. Okay. So now it is fine. I expanded. What is the next step? Should I expand further? Yeah, please tell your views. Okay, I will do that. Xk minus M transpose Xk minus M minus, okay, AK into E transpose into Xk minus M, okay, minus what? Xk minus M transpose into E, okay, into AK. Can I write AK this side or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
can
can I write E also this side?
No,
No.
sir.
No, why?
So E is a vector
Very good.
and
Okay.
AK is a square.
Yeah, right. So plus AK square. Can I write AK square? So
Yes,
I am
sir, yes.
last term. I'm in E AK square. E square also can I write?
No, sir. No.
What should I write?
E transpose.
Yeah. Okay, I have written like this. Fine. So now what I want to do, what is the next step? I have expanded to the extent possible. Okay, what is the next step?
We
We
take
can
the
differentiate.
derivative and equate it to 0.
Okay, I will equate to 0. Fine, dou Z by dou AK when I consider the first question, will the summation be still there or it will go away?
It will be there, sir.
It will be there, okay. See, if I am differentiating with respect to, sorry, these are all subscripts, okay, please don't confuse between the notation in case if I miss somewhere, okay. So based on the context also you people understand. Okay. So see if I have A1, A2, and then so on up to AK, and then probably up to whatever AN. See if I have all these things, if I am differentiating with respect to A2, okay, will its variation will that affect the variation in AK, AN, A1? Will A2 depend upon X2, for example? See, A2 depends upon, say, X2. A2 depends upon X2. Okay. But A2, will it depend upon X1 and XK, Xn? Is there an interdependence between the projection of kth sample and the other samples?
No, sir.
No.
Independent.
Okay. Because I am trying to project only that sample. There may be some dependence on E. Fine. Direction of projection, it will have a dependence. Okay. But not on the other samples. So now, will the summation be there or not?
It will go, sir.
It will go away. Okay, if I am differentiating with respect to A, partial differentiation with respect to AK, the summation won't be there. Okay, now the first term. Okay, first term. Will this first term be there or in the when I differentiate? Should I consider about first term or not necessary?
It will be 0.
It will be 0. Okay, because the first term is independent of AK. Okay, what about the second terms? So this is second term and this is second term. Second and third terms. I am now differentiating with respect to AK. What do you see? Whatever I have marked here, E transpose into XK minus M and XK minus M transpose into E. Both are same or different?
Same, sir.
Same. And the dimensions of them are how much? What are the dimensions of E transpose into XK minus M?
Scalars, sir.
Scalars. Very good. Okay. Now, since they are same, I am writing separately now. I will combine them later. But now differentiation with respect to AK. What is the answer? No?
E transpose XK minus M.
That's all. Okay, because the AK will go because it is a scalar. Fine. What is the last term now? AK square. Okay, so please note that there is a AK square into E transpose E.
2 times AK, E transpose E.
2 times AK into E transpose E. Okay, see here, E is only the direction of projection. I'm interested only about the direction of projection. I don't need the scale. I am only interested in the direction. So what is the optimal way of representing E? See, E can be represented with a unit vector in this direction, or okay, up to say unit vector is let's assume that it is up to here, or 2 times the unit vector, or 0.5 times the unit vector, and so on. Am I interested in the scaled version of E or only the direction? I am interested in the direction of representation. So I can consider E as a unit vector in direction of projection. Then what will be E transpose E?
1.
Yeah, fine, good. So this is equal to now, this implies that this is equal to 1. Okay, so now what is this? This is essentially equal to 1. Fine or not? So now this results in how much finally? Dose A by dou AK is equal to 2 times E transpose into xk minus m plus 2 times AK. This whole thing is equal to what? 0. Why is this equal to 0? Why is this equal to 0?
Here we are trying to minimize J, so we equate first derivative to 0.
Right, good. So AK is now is equal to E transpose into xk minus m. Is this fine or not? Oh, we essentially got this only. Okay. But after a mathematical derivation or few steps of mathematical derivation. Fine. So what it is saying is, if you want to calculate the projection length, always look at the sample. Okay, always project the sample perpendicularly onto the direction of projection and then calculate the length of projection. Okay, that's what it is conveying. Is this clear or not? You project the sample on the perpendicularly to the direction of projection, and that is the optimal projection length you should consider. Okay, for representing the sample xk in direction E. Is this clear or not? Any questions here? Okay, so now let's move on. If no questions, let's move on. So now J is equal to function of E comma AK anyway, fine. And we derived for AK. Let this also be in, okay, in memory. Okay, so now let us see. I will directly take, okay, from here. So this is, let this be equation some, okay, 2 or whatever. This, let this be 1, okay, and this be 2. Okay, so I am directly, now I am from here, this equation I am trying to substitute this AK, whatever I have got. See, if I substitute here, the first term doesn't change. Please see, this term doesn't change. I am going to substitute this here. Why I am going to substitute here? Because see, AK and E are interdependent. Okay, so especially if I want to differentiate, I should eliminate either of them. Here, naturally, what has happened is, okay, E is not dependent upon AK, but AK is dependent upon E. Please note that. So what I want to do is, I want to represent the whole thing, okay, either with AK or with E when I want to simplify this and differentiate with respect to E. Okay, so now this second term, what is second term if I can substitute this? How does second term look like? Second term, this term can be rewritten as what? I start writing the first term, you please tell the second term. Yeah, please tell.
AK square.
Very good. Okay, I can write the second term as AK square. Similarly, the third term, AK square, fine. Okay, similarly, the third term. Third term is what? How can I rewrite the third term? Please quickly tell.
Same, sir, AK square.
The AK square, because both are essentially same. Okay, 2 into AK square. Okay, shall I write 2 into AK square or separately AK square? Okay, fine. Okay, so then what is fourth term?
AK square.
AK square, okay. Okay, so essentially I have got all this. Fine, now this anyway I can cancel. Okay, let me cancel with some other color. Okay, I can cancel this. So the cos function is essentially simplified to this xk minus m whole transpose into xk minus m, okay, minus ak square. Okay. See, but what essentially I want to do? I want to find out what? What is now next my objective? I have already found out what is the optimal projection length. Okay, these are the optimal projection lengths. So what is my objective now?
You need to find the direction of projection.
Okay, so now I want to find the optimal direction of projection. So how should I find now? What should I do now to find it?
Differentiate with respect to E.
Yeah, I have to differentiate this J, E comma whatever, with respect to dou J by dou E I have to do. E is a vector, please note that. Okay, so if I want to differentiate with respect to E, for simplification, I have substituted AK, fine. But if I want to differentiate with respect to E, what should I have in the expression? What should I have in the expression?
We'll substitute AK in terms of E.
Yeah, so we have to substitute now AK in terms of E. So now how should I substitute? AK square is there. Okay, so what should I write here? I want to write something. But what should I write? AK square I want to rewrite in terms of E. How should I do it? Any idea? I can write as AK into AK transpose. Yes or no? AK into AK transpose.
AK is a scalar, no sir?
Yeah, I know it is scalar. But why I am writing AK into AK transpose? See, if AK square, if I put directly, what is AK? Okay, AK is equal to E transpose into xk minus m. Now square. Will this make sense?
No sir.
No. So, whenever the scalar is written in terms of dot product of vectors or involving vectors, we will write either AK into AK transpose or AK transpose into AK. Okay, assuming that there are now, I will be now bringing these vectors. Okay, that's the intuition. I can write in both ways, but here for the benefit of my derivation, okay, I am writing AK into AK transpose. Okay, so if I write like this, what will be there? Now I will substituting. I will start substituting. M
Shouldn't
into
it be AK transpose into AK, sir? Because at the end of the day, we need a scalar, right?
Why do I need a scalar?
I mean, AK square is a scalar, right?
No. See, AK is scalar. I can write AK into AK transpose is also a scalar.
Okay. But
see, AK is a scalar. Now let me see, even if I write like this, see, if I calculate the whole thing, what I get is a scalar. In both ways, I will get scalar because AK is a scalar.
In the third step, dou J of E by dou E equals to, in that step, we are going to get a scalar over there, right? That is a summation xk minus m.
Okay, so the question is, see, should I need a scalar? Not necessarily. This is a vector, right? Where I am differentiating now.
Vector.
Okay, just see, just follow up this. Then we will discuss on that aspect as well. Okay. So I will tell the difficulty. See, if I write that the difficulty is AK transpose into AK if I write. Okay, AK square as. This one if I write like this. This is the question, right? This or this.
Yes.
So this if I write, if I expand. See, expand and see what happens. What happens if I expand this? Xk minus m. What happens? You are able to see or not?
Yes, sir, I can see.
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, you have to take the transpose inside then.
Yeah, E into E transpose you will get. Okay, E is a eigenvector. So you will get a diagonal matrix in between. and then xk minus m transpose into xk minus m, E vanishes. So you can't differentiate with respect to E at all.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
But how are you going to subtract? Say in the third step, it was supposed to be xk minus m whole transpose into xk minus m, right? So
Right.
there we'll essentially get a scalar, but you can't subtract a scalar from a vector unless you are subtracting from all the elements. If that's what you mean.
No, sorry. This is a transpose M is here.
Yeah, that's what, like after you simplify that, you
This is
will
also
get
a scalar. See,
yeah.
this is also a scalar and the next one is also a scalar. Then what is the problem?
Then there is no problem.
See here. After writing, I am getting a scalar only. In between, I may have some vectors and matrices and so on. But the whole thing, if I compute, what I get is a scalar in either case.
Okay, sir.
Right. So now AK into AK transpose. AK transpose, how do I write? Let me write directly xk minus m transpose into E transpose. Yes or no? I have directly written here.
Yes, sir.
So
yes.
This is AK. So now please note that this I will write here. Okay. So E transpose into xk minus m transpose into xk minus m. Okay, into E. Okay. So I have written, this is same as this. Please note that this expression is same as this. Fine. So now, when I want to differentiate with respect to E, what happens to the first term? First term, is it dependent upon E?
No.
No. So I am putting 0. Second term, let me write second term first. Okay, dou by dou E. Summation. See, the summation I want to bring in here. I am trying to bring in the summation here. See, when I want to bring in summation here, okay, so I will apply a trick. I am writing, since the time is less now, I am directly writing the final step here. I want to bring in E transpose outside. Xk minus m in transpose into xk minus m. Okay, I have I written correctly or wrong?
Do you have exchanged the transpose part?
Yeah. I think AK. Oh, fine. AK into xk minus m. Okay, so x transpose is not here. Transpose is. Okay, transpose is here. Okay. So transpose is here. Please note that. Transpose into. Sorry.
There is no transpose for the E in fourth step. The end E.
Yeah, right. Right. Okay. So now you see, what is this? This one, have you seen any time? Summation over K xk minus m into xk minus m transpose. This one, have you seen any time or not? Yes or no?
Covariance matrix.
Very good. This is similar to covariance matrix, but not essentially the covariance matrix. What is this? I am writing now J. Okay, just for I am leaving dou by dou E. I will bring it later. Okay, I started with this because we want to differentiate. Now we will see if the differentiation is needed or not later. Okay, some C times, constant times the first term, E transpose into what is second term? It is covariance matrix. Is it exactly covariance matrix?
Correlation matrix.
No. Covariance matrix only. See, what is covariance matrix expression? Sigma is equal to 1 by n times. Okay, K equal to xk minus m into xk minus m transpose. This is covariance matrix. Okay, so what we have here is n times the covariance matrix. Okay, that is this can be referred to as scatter matrix, yes. Okay, so I'm writing here S times E. So the cos function finally simplified to what? Constant times constant minus E transpose S minus S times E. Fine. So any questions here? J is essentially is equal to, I'm dropping the constant because anyway in differentiation it will go, minus is proportional to R. Okay. E transpose S times E. Fine. With this cost function, what should I do? I should minimize, give E. Will this give E? That is the question. Optimal E. I have to minimize this cost function. Minimize with respect to E. Okay, to get E. Okay, best E. But is this minimization help me to get best E? Okay, that we will see in the next class. Okay, and we will follow it up. Oh, what is best E? So what I will do in this week is, I will probably, since we lost one class and we will be losing another class on Friday as well, I will try to make 1 or 2 recorded lectures, at least 2 I'm thinking. Okay, and send you people. So we will discuss if you have any questions or doubts on it in the subsequent classes and then move on. So if you have any quick question you ask, otherwise we will conclude the class for today here.
Sir, at the last step, how exactly do we differentiate over there?
Yeah, we can't differentiate now. If we differentiate 2 times SE, we will get 2 times SE equal to 0 doesn't give E. So we will see another trick for doing here, from doing here. Yeah. Right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you then.